Welcome to Think, React, Lead, bringing you insights and strategies for thinking as an executive, reacting like a soldier, and leading in all aspects of your life. Here's your host, executive coach and leadership speaker, Dom Faussette.
Welcome to the Think, React, Lead podcast, where you will be provided insights on thinking as an executive, reacting like a soldier, and leading in various aspects of your career and personal life. I am your host, Dom Faussette, and the title of today's show, simply put, is I Don't Like Them. I don't like them. There are people in your life currently that you don't like. Safe to assume that there is. What I have found is how that not liking of people is adversely impacting your life, my life, and then steps that you can take to do things to like people that you currently don't like. It'll make sense as we move on. Long time ago, when I was like 14, 15 years of age, I got into a fight with my neighbor. And this happened to be one of the fights that I won. My neighbor's father stopped talking to me. My neighbor, obviously, we're the same age. He stopped talking to me. Basically, I wasn't allowed in their front yard, and it was just like a weird thing. Fortunately, they moved a year later, but I was 14, 15 years of age. At the age of 19, now mind you, the dad didn't like me. The son didn't like me. At the age of 19, I was on my second deployment to Africa. This time it happened to be in Egypt. I don't know where I'm at in Egypt, but it's me, one Jeep, my K9, two barrels, and the barrels represented some sort of checkpoint. I had enough ammo in case something, got squirrely. So about a half a click out, I see this Jeep coming down the road, and it was driving in a friendly manner. So I was on guard, but I was chill, just there. I hadn't seen anybody for 3 hours, and I see three heads in the driver's, well, it's a one sectioned Jeep truck, if you will. And there was a bench seat in the front, three people up front, three men. As it got closer, I could tell. And they're all in uniform. So at this point, I realized they were Americans. And then the closer they got, I could see their rank. There was a lieutenant driving, a captain on the driver's side, and in the middle was a chief master sergeant. When they got to the checkpoint, I realized that this chief master sergeant was my neighbor that didn't like me. And I'm not going to put his name out there because I'm just not. He's still, he's not active, but he's still around doing his thing. He lives in Florida. I think he's a cop, but he got out of the truck and he gave me a big old hug. And he's like, "Dominic, how you doing? Long time no see. I haven't seen you in so long. How's mom? How's the dad? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera." So hindsight, I realized that in different environments, in different situations, one has the ability to get over what they don't like. Over the last year, I've been traveling and speaking and how do I say this in a nice way? I would say it like this. There's people that I have met online that just so happen not to be who they are in person. Not my problem. That's on them. There's some development issues there. But I have also found that there are some people that I meet or I come across that don't like me. I don't know why. I haven't asked. But naturally, we do this thing where when somebody doesn't like you, whether it's subconscious or a conscious effort, you don't like them. Tit for tat. What I've started doing, again, over the last year, I'm no perfect person, I'm no guru, but I started consciously subscribing to, say, their podcast, or liking their comments, or following them on both of my Instagram pages, or following them, or adding, how do you do it on Facebook? Submitting a friend request to them. Like I want to call it above and beyond because it makes me feel good, but it's really not above and beyond. It's just liking a person because they're alive and maybe they're doing something great. It's just you guys don't jive, if you will. But what that's allowed me to do is when I meet another person that acts or sounds or maybe even looks like the person that I know doesn't like me, where naturally I shouldn't like them back, I start to build a relationship with the other person that I meet that has nothing to do with this certain scenario where whoever doesn't like me and then I don't like them. It has nothing to do with that. And they don't know that there's people that I don't like, but it allows me to be open to their conversation. It allows me to listen with my heart, not with my mind. Because if we say you meet somebody that reminds you of your ex-spouse, right off the bat, you're going to think your mind is and your emotions are just running and you're just inside. Like you remind me of my ex, and you really don't give them a chance to have a conversation with you. So as we find ourselves saying, I don't like them, maybe we ask ourselves, why? Why do we not like whoever the them is, quote unquote? Why don't you like them? Going back to that instance in Africa or Egypt to be specific, he liked me. He saw a familiar face in a land of unfamiliar faces. So take somebody currently, just put them in your mind that you don't like. I'm not talking like your worst enemy, just somebody that you're just not fond of. And imagine, if you will, you were on a, not deserted island. Let's use deserted island. Imagine you were on a deserted island. Actually, now that I think about it, I'm going to add some characters. It's not deserted. Imagine you're on an island where you at first think you're the only one that speaks your language and has your same shared life experiences. So American life experiences. And everybody else on the island speaks a language that you have never even heard of. They don't dress like you. They don't look like you. They don't act like you. They don't sound like you. And then all of a sudden, somebody walking out of a group of palm trees that person in your mind that you don't like is there. You two speak the same language, sound for the most part the same, have some of the same shared experiences. Is it safe to assume that you two would start to get along? I would say yes, because that's kind of the scenario that happened when I was in Egypt. We started to get along. Now, if you can get along in an environment where you're the only person, you two are the only people that act, sound, look alike, and have the same shared experiences, why can't you force yourself to get along with somebody that you really don't have a reason not to like them? Why can't you force yourself to just say that you like them? Because does it take away from the value of self, or does it add value to who you are as a person if you can just find a way to like somebody? In my experience, and I'm not putting this on anybody, but in my experience, it adds value to who I am. Because if I run into that person, say in the grocery store, some of us don't do well negotiating or navigating through our initial responses. And it's too late to recover once you make that the ugly face or I don't want to see you face. But if you purpose it in your heart to just like a person just for being alive, when you do run into them or bump into them, you can have a genuine conversation about them. And I've also come to realize that we never know what people are going through. With what I do as a speaker coach, my hopes are that people end up becoming comfortable in being vulnerable and to share their message on stage. But the stories that I get from my clients are stories that I would have never known existed. Like, people go through some horrific life experiences. And how do you know that the person that doesn't like you for reasons that you don't know, that you might remind them of somebody that did something to them, say when they were 5 or when they were 13 or 20. And we do this thing where we don't really ask why. Our environment today talks about knowing your why, which is great. I'm not knocking the knowledge of why, but we don't ask others why. You ever ask somebody, why don't you like me? I know it sounds elemental, which is fine, but sometimes the simplest things are the hardest things to overcome. Why don't you like me? And let that person answer that question. And if you're sincere with your question, or you're sincere in your character, and you're in a position or in a place that's loving, that's compassionate, that allows you to bridge the gap between your mind and your heart, maybe that person might just open up and just tell you know what? I got beat up by my mom's boyfriend when I was a kid, and you remind me of him. And then that allows you to see this other person's life experience in an instant. But instead, we don't do that because I'm not going to say we don't do it because we don't want to. I think we don't do it because we don't think to. So it's not that we don't want to do it. We don't think to do it. We get caught up in our own world, in our own head. If you're anything like me, we get caught up in our own hurts, right? I got caught up in my own hurts, and I stopped wanting to understand other people's life experiences because I felt nobody cared about me. Nobody cared about Dom. Well, what I found was I didn't care about Dom. And if I don't care about Dom, how in the world can I expect somebody else to care about Dom? I can't expect anybody. People are only going to meet you at one level below where you meet yourself. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1, you don't care about yourself at all. 10, you just think the world of yourself. If I'm at a 2, that's my lid. Nobody else can be a 2. They definitely can't be a 3. They can only be a 1. As they care about me. And 1 is they don't care about you at all. So as you begin to find value in who you are, and as you begin to care about yourself, and as you begin to really put self aside and care more, or think about caring more about others, your world changes. Because there's this thing that happens, and some people might call it the law of attraction. And that's fine, but whatever you got to call it, when your character changes, when you operate from the heart more so than analyzing or basing what's about to happen off of past things that have happened. So you're basically trying to predict the future in a negative way. When you just flow and things are fluid, people are attracted to that. People warm up to that. People need that. Why not be the only flower in the garden that's bloomed? There's nothing wrong with that. Somebody might say, well, it's out of season. Maybe your season starts a little early so that you can build the value up of those that we do, which is not doing. And the thing that we do, which is not doing, limits our growth. And that hurts to say because nobody wants to have their growth limited. It hurts to say I'm limiting my growth. What hurts even more is to not know that you're limiting your growth. So how to not limit your growth? Simply put, find ways to like people that you currently don't like. Start with the people that you really don't know why you don't like them. Don't start with the person that maybe something really horrific happened to you growing up. Don't start there. I didn't. And it built up my endurance and it built up my confidence in self to get to a point of liking people that really had an adverse effect on my life. Start with the things that are in arm's reach. Start there. So just some things I want you to think about. I think today's Tuesday. As you're going through the week, Think about what you can do to make an impact on somebody else's life, even though they are not currently making an impact on yours. Again, my name is Dom Faussette. This Think React Lead can be found on Facebook, Dom Faussette, YouTube, Think React Lead, and of course here on Instagram. So Instagram folks, you guys have a wonderful day. YouTube folks, have a wonderful day. Facebook folks, have a wonderful day. And I, my friend, will talk to you all very soon.
You've been listening to Think, React, Lead. To connect with your authentic purpose, contact Dom at www.thinkreactlead.com.